The evidence that shocked Hollywood came to light when decades-old secrets could no longer remain buried in the archives of television history. Jim Nabors, the beloved actor who brought Gomer Pyle to life and charmed millions with his gentle demeanor and powerful singing voice, carried with him mysteries that fans never suspected existed. When the final pieces of a puzzle that had confounded entertainment historians for over 50 years finally came together, what emerged painted a picture that nobody wanted to believe about one of America's most cherished performers. The revelations about Jim's private struggles and the forces that shaped his career decisions would forever change how we understand the man behind the iconic characters and the price he paid for fame in an era when authenticity could destroy everything. Jim Nabors' rise to fame began in the early 1960s when he was discovered performing at a nightclub in Santa Monica by Andy Griffith, who was looking for someone to play a gas station attendant on The Andy Griffith Show. Nabors' portrayal of Gomer Pyle, the naive and well-meaning mechanic from Mayberry, became so popular that it led to his own spin-off series, Gomer Pyle, USMC, which ran from 1964 to 1969 and made him one of television's biggest stars. The character of Gomer Pyle was beloved for his innocence, optimism, and catchphrases like "Golly" and "Shazam" that became part of American popular culture. Nabors' portrayal was so convincing that many viewers assumed he was simply playing himself, but the reality was far more complex. The actor had studied drama at the University of Alabama and possessed a classically trained baritone voice that could fill opera houses, yet he found himself typecast as a simple-minded country boy. Behind the scenes, Nabors struggled with the constraints of his television persona and the expectations that came with being associated with such an iconic character. Industry insiders from that era have revealed that he often felt trapped by the success of Gomer Pyle, as producers and networks were reluctant to cast him in more serious or sophisticated roles that would showcase his actual range and intelligence. The financial success of Gomer Pyle, USMC, made Nabors wealthy, but it also created a professional prison from which he found it difficult to escape. Television executives and casting directors could not see past the Gomer Pyle character, limiting his opportunities to demonstrate his dramatic acting abilities or his remarkable singing talent in contexts that might have elevated his career to different heights. Questions arise about how the entertainment industry's typecasting practices affected Nabors' mental health and personal life during the height of his fame. The implications could suggest that the pressure to maintain a public persona that differed significantly from his private self created internal conflicts that influenced his career decisions and personal relationships. The mystery surrounding Jim Nabors' personal life became a subject of speculation and rumor throughout his career, particularly regarding his sexuality and romantic relationships. During the 1960s and 1970s, when public attitudes toward homosexuality were far less accepting than today, entertainment figures faced enormous pressure to maintain heterosexual public images, regardless of their private lives. Nabors never married during the height of his fame, and his close friendships with other male entertainers became subjects of gossip and speculation in Hollywood circles. The entertainment industry's culture of secrecy and the potential career destruction that could result from revelations about an actor's personal life created environments where many performers lived in constant fear of exposure. Legal experts note that during this era, morality clauses in entertainment contracts could allow studios and networks to terminate actors whose personal lives were deemed scandalous or contrary to public expectations. This legal framework created additional pressure on performers to hide aspects of their identities that might conflict with their professional obligations. The psychological toll of maintaining false personas and hiding authentic aspects of identity has been documented in numerous studies of entertainment industry figures from this period. The mental health implications of living in constant fear of exposure while maintaining public facades created stress and anxiety that affected many performers' careers and personal well-being. One has to wonder how different Nabors' career trajectory might have been if he had felt free to be authentic about his personal life and pursue roles that reflected his actual personality and capabilities, rather than the limitations imposed by his television persona and societal expectations. Jim Nabors' decision to leave Hollywood at the height of his fame and move to Hawaii in the early 1970s surprised fans and industry observers who expected him to continue capitalizing on his television success. His relocation to Maui represented a dramatic lifestyle change that removed him from the entertainment industry's daily pressures and expectations. In Hawaii, Nabors found peace and anonymity that had been impossible to maintain in Los Angeles. He purchased a macadamia nut farm on Maui, and largely withdrew from the entertainment business, making only occasional appearances and performances. This retreat from fame allowed him to live more authentically and pursue interests that had been overshadowed by his television career. The move to Hawaii also enabled Nabors to develop meaningful relationships and build a life that was not constantly scrutinized by media and fans. The geographic distance from Hollywood provided protection from the gossip and speculation that had followed him throughout his television career. Local residents of Maui have described Nabors as a kind and generous neighbor who contributed to community causes and lived quietly without seeking attention or special treatment. His integration into the local community demonstrated his desire for normal human connections that were not based on his celebrity status or television persona. Sports analysts wonder whether Nabors' retreat to Hawaii represented a necessary escape from an entertainment industry that had become toxic to his mental health and personal happiness. The implications could suggest that his decision prioritized personal well-being over continued professional success and financial gain. The revelation that came to light decades after Jim Nabors' retreat from Hollywood involved his long-term relationship with Stan Cadwallader, a former Honolulu firefighter who became his partner and eventually his husband. The couple met in the 1970s and maintained a private relationship for over 40 years before marrying in 2013, when same-sex marriage became legal in Washington state. Nabors' decision to keep this relationship private for most of his life reflects the social and professional pressures that gay entertainers faced during his era. The potential career destruction and social ostracism that could result from public acknowledgement of same-sex relationships forced many performers to choose between authenticity and professional survival. The marriage to Cadwallader, which occurred when Nabors was 82 years old, represented a public acknowledgement of a relationship that had been one of the most important aspects of his life for decades. The timing of the marriage, near the end of his life, suggests that he finally felt safe enough to be publicly authentic about his personal relationships. Legal experts note that the length and stability of Nabors' relationship with Cadwallader contradicts stereotypes and misconceptions about gay relationships that were prevalent during his entertainment career. The couple's 40-year partnership demonstrated the kind of lasting commitment that society claimed to value while simultaneously forcing them to hide it. The delayed public acknowledgement of this relationship illustrates the personal costs of societal discrimination and the entertainment industry's role in perpetuating harmful stereotypes and expectations that damage the lives and careers of countless performers who could not live authentically. Jim Nabors' health struggles in his later years included liver problems that required a transplant in 1994, performed in Hawaii where he had lived for over 20 years. The liver transplant was successful, and he lived for more than 2 decades afterward, but the health crisis highlighted the physical toll that years of stress and pressure had taken on his body. Medical experts note that chronic stress and psychological pressure can contribute to various health problems, including liver disease and other conditions that may have affected Nabors during his entertainment career. The correlation between mental health and physical health has become better understood in recent decades, providing context for health issues experienced by entertainers from earlier eras. The liver transplant procedure required Nabors to be extremely careful about his health and lifestyle for the remainder of his life. The medical requirements and recovery process further reinforced his decision to live quietly in Hawaii, rather than attempting to resume a more active entertainment career. His health challenges also brought increased attention to his relationship with Cadwallader, who served as his primary caregiver and support system throughout the medical treatment and recovery process. The public nature of the health crisis made it more difficult to hide their relationship, though they continued to maintain privacy about the romantic nature of their partnership. The value of Nabors' estate, including real estate holdings in Hawaii and residual income from his television work, provided financial security for both him and Cadwallader throughout their relationship. The economic independence that his entertainment success had provided enabled him to make personal choices without financial pressure. Legal experts note that the financial planning required for unmarried same-sex couples during most of Nabors' adult life was far more complex and expensive than for heterosexual married couples, creating additional burdens and costs that were consequences of discriminatory legal systems. The entertainment industry's treatment of Jim Nabors reflects broader patterns of how Hollywood has historically handled performers whose personal lives or authentic selves conflicted with public expectations or commercial considerations. The typecasting and limitations placed on his career demonstrate systemic problems that affected many actors from his era. Industry practices during the 1960s and 1970s often prioritized marketability and public image over artistic development or performer satisfaction. The focus on maintaining profitable character associations limited many actors' opportunities to grow professionally or demonstrate their full range of capabilities. The secrecy and fear that characterized much of Nabors' career experience were common among gay entertainers, who faced potential career destruction if their personal lives became public knowledge. The industry's complicity in maintaining these harmful systems created environments that damaged many talented performers. Modern entertainment industry practices have evolved significantly, but the legacy of discrimination and limitation that affected performers like Nabors provides important context for understanding how industry cultures can either support or harm the people who create the content that generates profits. The broader implications for understanding how societal attitudes and industry practices affect individual lives extend beyond entertainment to include lessons about authenticity, mental health, and the costs of discrimination that remain relevant today. Jim Nabors passed away in 2017 at the age of 87, having lived to see significant changes in social attitudes toward LGBTQ+ people and same-sex relationships. His death marked the end of a life that had been shaped by both tremendous professional success and the personal costs of living in an era of widespread discrimination. The obituaries and tributes that followed his death largely focused on his entertainment career and beloved television characters, with relatively little attention paid to his personal struggles or the social context that had shaped his life choices. This pattern reflects ongoing tendencies to sanitize celebrity histories and avoid uncomfortable discussions about discrimination and its effects. Stan Cadwallader's grief and the end of their 40-year relationship highlighted the human costs of policies and attitudes that had forced them to hide their partnership for most of their lives together. The personal loss was compounded by decades of societal rejection and professional pressure that had limited their ability to live openly. The legacy of Jim Nabors' life includes both his contributions to entertainment and the lessons his experience provides about the importance of creating societies and industries that allow people to live authentically without fear of discrimination or professional retaliation. Legal experts wonder whether the entertainment industry has learned sufficient lessons from cases like Nabors to prevent similar harm to current and future performers, who may face pressure to hide aspects of their authentic selves for commercial or social reasons. If you're as moved by this hidden story of struggle and resilience as we are, go ahead and like this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments. How do you think Jim Nabors' career might have been different if he had lived in a more accepting era? What lessons should the entertainment industry learn from stories like his? We want to hear your perspective on how society and media can better support authentic representation. Then, hit subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss our coverage of the untold stories behind beloved entertainers and the social forces that shape their lives. Thanks for watching.